Welcome to the B. Andrews Radio Show. You're listening to the September 12th edition of the B. Andrews Radio Show. I am one of your co-hosts and member of the B. Andrews Band. Eric, on the other side of the room, is your other co-host and member of the B. Andrews Band, John. Say hey, John.
Hey, hey, hey.
And as we had mentioned last week in last week's show, today we are coming together. We're going to talk about the role of the youth pastor or youth volunteers. Sometimes they can be volunteers. They're not necessarily paid staff within a church. In fact, there are more.
There are youth pastors that get paid?
Officially, you should be getting paid to be called a youth pastor. If not, you're just a youth worker or youth volunteer. There's semantics in some churches and other churches, the title goes along. That's how they know exactly. Youth pastor, oh, you're getting paid to do this job. Youth volunteer, you're not. Sounds simple, but makes a big difference.
They have several other titles for volunteer. It's like fodder, expendable.
Or, well, some of them also have to do with, your package on how well they'll take care of you mentally after you're destroyed by the group that
you mean a waiver?
Yeah, there you go. That's what they call it. Yes, please sign here. We are not responsible for, what happens to you after you get done with this. Anyway, but so today we want to talk about that role, and to get us into that mindset, you had a group of it kind of is taken from that format. You might be. I think Jeff Foxworthy did it. You might be a redneck if, right? Lots of people have heard that format. You have a writer who has done something along this line, and you might be a you might be a youth pastor if, right?
Yes.
And it's written by who?
I haven't seen the author, but it's from dustoffthebible.com. It's from their blog.
Okay, dustoffthebible.com, a blog, and they have a list. You might be a youth pastor if. Okay, start rattling them off. Let's see if we get these.
Okay, so you might be a youth pastor if you know every off-name brand pop and food product ever invented, and for the veteran, you remember which store carries which name brand.
That would be correct. Okay. Now before we go on into the rest of these, let me judge these according to I have done and have been a youth pastor before I was a senior solo pastor. And so I will verify if these are true or not.
I was going to say that last one sounds like it was probably true.
And that last one is very true because you have a youth budget and you can't buy brand name because you got to make your youth budget stretch. And so for that to happen, you end up getting all the off-brand stuff, to which the kids eventually go, this ain't Mountain Dew. This ain't Dr. Pepper.
Be quiet and drink it.
What is Mr. Pibb? Just drink it. It tastes like Dr. Pepper, okay? So, no, totally true. And you have to know where to get them because at the last minute, you're doing something with the kids. Oh, my goodness, I need to go get some pop. Oh, it's over at this store. That'll be where I can get it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, number 2. You might be a youth pastor if you can successfully identify the difference between Mountain Dew, Mountain Holler, Mountain Lightning, and Mountain Frost.
That is absolutely true because you know which ones your kid. That's what will determine it. Which ones will your kids drink?
It's the same thing.
That's what I say. They say no, it's not. And so you try to cater to your kids. You got an event, and if it doesn't go well, they won't show up.
Oh.
Part of that's the pop you serve. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. You might be a youth pastor if you have ever inspired competitive Bible contests by means of making the losing party eat something awful, i.e. pickled pig's feet, hot sauce-filled Twinkies, clam juice, or a mixture of various foods found in the church kitchen.
It's a fun game, but I will never have my kids play something that I won't do. I won't do that.
Chris has done this. I think Chris has done this.
One of the guy, my oldest son, when he was doing youth internship, yes, he actually did that. So go ahead.
You might be a youth pastor if you have ever injured a youth playing dodgeball.
Guilty.
Next one. You might be a youth pastor if you have been injured by a youth playing dodgeball.
Had my glasses broken.
Oh, lame. They got in one, right?
Right in the face, yeah.
When you turned around, you probably weren't facing them, and you turned around.
That's right. Hit the arm of my glasses right up here where it connects to, and bent it out. Yeah.
Okay, you might be a youth pastor if you have an entire vocabulary based on youth ministry issues,
such as
purpling or missionary dating.
Okay, this is very new and modern. I haven't been a youth pastor.
Oh,
no,
you don't know,
not those.
You don't know what purpling is? Girls are pink. Boys are blue. There will be no purpling.
Yeah, we didn't use that term. We called they were two-headed monsters when I was.
We always go. Yeah, we called it purpling at camp. That's where I'm familiar with it.
Right.
There will be no purple.
No, we will not make any two-headed monsters. Okay, so yeah.
And you know what the missionary dating is, right?
No, I don't.
I'm a Christian. I really like that girl, so I need to share Jesus with her.
Missionary
dating.
Oh, gotcha.
At least that's what I'm taking it to mean.
Okay, well, all right.
Okay.
There's one I'm not familiar with. Okay, go ahead.
You might be a youth pastor if more of your Facebook friends are under the age of 18 than over.
Yeah, and since I've gone back into being a youth pastor, mine have gone half and half. So, yeah.
You might be a youth pastor if you've ever been asked any of the following. So, do you have a real job?
Been asked that.
You get paid to play games?
Been asked that.
Are you planning on being a real pastor when you get older?
Been asked that, yes. Was that all? I was 3 for 3?
You were 3 for 3.
Oh, man. Okay.
Man, you were a real youth pastor.
I was living the dream, man. Living the dream.
Living the dream.
Okay.
Man, that is sick.
John is quoting a youth pastor that we know, so.
But that is sick.
That's sick.
Man. Sick.
Yeah. Anyway, no, you missed it the one time. He said it was totally sick.
Totally sick. Yeah. We love him. Pastor Gordy.
Pastor Gordy.
We love Pastor Gordy.
Yes, which has gone from North Dakota. He is now a senior solo pastor in Michigan.
Whoa.
Yes. So
can he say sick anymore?
I don't know. Being a senior pastor, you do lose vocabulary.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like you
gain others, but that's okay.
That's true. Okay. So, next. You might be a youth pastor if you don't get invited to church council, board, or elder meetings, but your ministry is a frequent conversation in any or all of those meetings.
Yes. Yes. Didn't know it until a board member friend of mine came beside me one day and said, you've been in our board meetings for the past 6 months. And I'm like, I haven't been to one of your board meetings. No, not you personally, but we have talked about you in the last 6 monthly board meetings. I'm like, oh, that's not good.
Okay, this has to be my favorite. You might be a youth pastor if you consider pranking people to be a ministry of fellowship.
No, because I don't do things that I don't like, and I hate pranks.
But come on, that is such a youth pastor thing, though.
Pastor
Gordy would do it.
Yes, he would, totally. But no, I've never pranked anybody because I don't like pranking. So
I hope he still does stuff like that.
That would make him the coolest senior solo pastor. Yep. Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
Probably wouldn't make him the most
likable one
on the trustees board. Like the trustees would probably be like,
yeah, I'm not cleaning it up.
Especially when he does it to like the head deacon's house.
Woo! Yeah.
Anyway,
who put all these forks in my yard? Okay.
B. Andrews has done that before. With the youth pastor.
We were assisting.
With the youth pastor.
We were doing what we were told to do.
That was a lot of fun. Anyway.
That and the hide and go seek in the church, too. That was. Has anybody seen? What was his name? Big 6'9" pastor. Yeah, I'm playing hide and go seek.
And with the youth pastor.
How in the world did he get in that little bin underneath the sound booth?
The 6'9" guy.
Yeah, 6'9".
He was 6'9", and we're like, how is it possible for him to hide?
Yeah, we got to find this guy somewhere. Anyway,
big church.
Yeah.
Anyway, big dude. Like it didn't matter. He was just big. Anyway, okay, so we have a lot of youth pastor friends. Actually.
We do.
So
that's what happens when you're a contemporary band.
Yeah. So you might be a youth pastor if you understand the phrase "married up."
Okay, you're gonna have to explain that one to me because you see, I was married when I went in being a youth pastor.
So married up would be you're down here, your wife is up here.
Oh, I've been told.
You married up.
Oh, I was been told that as a senior pastor.
Ooh. I feel like all men have to answer that question.
Yeah,
that way.
yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
So, but it's nice to be able to mean it. You know?
Yeah,
nice
well, it's they when I get done with a lot of Sunday sermons, they like my wife a little bit more than they like me. Yeah. Anyway,
so you might be a youth pastor if you can wear a T-shirt from a youth event every day of the week.
I can actually go almost 3 weeks. That's how long I've been doing it.
2 months if you reuse the shirts.
You mean if you fold them inside out when you wear them?
I wear them front, I wear them back. I wear them front and back. Anyway.
It's got 2 sides. Just turn it inside out. Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
And besides, is that gone by? Is that left me wearing your T-shirts inside out? You know, there was a thing for a while about that.
Was there?
Yeah. Okay, that's gone.
We won't talk about that.
That was back in the day.
Yeah. It's good that some days are gone.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know if you know about the phase about kids wearing their pants backwards.
Yeah, that was short-lived because, well, anyway.
Yeah, go to the bathroom.
Yep,
that was the first thing.
Basically, what caused the problem.
The first thing when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, what are they going to do when they got to go to the bathroom?
Anyway, it's just a lot hard to ask women. It's just hard to unzip when the zip is in the back. And there's a reason why they just don't do that. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. Yes.
Okay. So,
any more?
Yeah. So you might be a youth pastor if you can draw lesson illustrations from anything, including Nacho Libre, Lost, Inception, Harry Potter, or The Hunger Games.
Okay. Did not see Harry Potter, and I did not. Well, there was another one on there I didn't watch. What was the second one?
I'm not sure you've seen any of those.
Oh, yeah, I have.
But that's because you're an older youth pastor.
Yeah. No, I've seen. What was the first one?
Have you seen Nacho Libre? I don't think you've actually seen
enough of it.
No,
that
you haven't
I
actually seen it.
Enough of it that I could actually use it for. Oh yeah.
No. Okay,
yeah.
Lost.
No, that was the one
never
I
watched
never.
Lost. I don't think you've seen Inception.
I have seen Inception.
Have you?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then I know you haven't watched the other two. Harry Potter or The Hunger Games.
No, I didn't do Hunger Games either. So yeah, those two, neither one.
And you really haven't seen Nacho Libre, and I don't.
I've seen enough of the scenes that I've sat there and I've said that is so.
No, you
stupid.
haven't.
Yes, I did.
Nacho.
I watched him running through town. Was he have a wheelbarrow? He's running through town, and somebody goes, "That's him over there," and he stops. They have him up against the wall.
It's been a long time since I've seen
Yeah, that's where he flexes his muscles.
Oh no, that's the with the these are my exercise pants.
Yes, that was the scene. It's just like seriously.
Anyway, we're not okay. We're digressing.
Yes,
okay.
we digress.
And last but not least, you might be a youth pastor if you know enough fundraising ideas to solve the economic crisis.
Of the moment, yes. The problem is do I have enough time to put it together? That becomes the issue. But yes, I can do that. So officially, I can say I am a youth pastor because I've gone back into doing it again. And I got to kind of tell you why. We've had at our local church, we've had several younger guys. I've tried to just be the senior solo pastor. We've had younger guys that have come along and have said, okay, there's the youth group. And really would love for you guys just to take over the youth group. And, it hasn't really worked out, and part of it's me. Okay, I don't want to blame the other guys. Part of it is me. There's a way that I would like for it to be done, and I've been kind of disappointed in one of them. well, I've been kind of disappointed in the things that have happened, and a youth group needs longevity. I was with a guy one time, took the youth group down, and I noticed that very large church, he was in a church of 200 and some, and was doing the youth pastorate. And I said to him, how is that going for you? And he said, you know what? I may be the senior pastor. I used to be a youth pastor, but I want my program done in such a way, and I couldn't find anybody that really did it for me. So I went back and decided to do it myself. And I thought for the longest of times, I knew how much energy it would take. I knew what it would do to my schedule. But if I wanted that kind of youth program that I wanted, then I needed to be the guy to do it. So I decided to do that. So we're going to talk a little bit more about youth and youth work and what that youth pastorate looks like. Get a refill on that beverage that you have. And why don't you come on back? We're getting ready to take a break, but do come back and let's talk about how that youth work looks. You're listening to the B. Andrews Radio Show. Sing the chord of praise. I know, so let's call him Joe, cause he's a real good friend. He wants to start a fight when things aren't right in this world that we're living in. So it says to him, Joe, I know that you know that fighting never pays. So instead of a fight when things aren't right, why don't you start with a chord of praise? Na, 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 na. Sing the chord of praise. Na, truth that folks don't understand. Everything that happens in our lives comes from God's own hand. Everybody has a choice that they can make every day. Welcome back to the B. Andrews Radio Show. And if you would like to be a part of this show, we would like if you would like to be a part of this show, we would like to strongly encourage you to be a part of this show. And you can do that by connecting with us at Facebook or on Twitter. On Facebook, you can go to B. Andrews, like in somebody's name, first name B-E, last name Andrews, A-N-D-R-E-W-S, and be a part of the show. You can leave a comment there, tell us what you think, add something to the show that you think maybe we missed on, or something that you would like to accentuate, or be a part of the comments on our Twitter account. Again, at Twitter, you can find us at B.Andrews. No, excuse me, wrong. You can find us at B. Andrews Band, B-A-N-D-R-E-W-S, B-A-N-D, B. Andrews Band at Twitter. So be a friend of ours, connect, and we'll what is that?
Getting some tongue ties up there. Huh?
I am. Yeah, it happens, and it is not a good thing to happen when you're in the middle of youth meeting, because the kids are unmerciful at going, "You said," and pointing that back out. Yeah, you're one of them. Some unique things in being the youth pastor. So back to the you might be a youth pastor if a lot of that stuff is so true, because when you do a youth ministry, it is so different than working with adults. Yet, here's what is lost or could be lost with other youth pastors. I've seen this done. You forget that everything that you are doing, you've got all this fun stuff, you've got all these ideas, you've got all the stuff that gets the kids involved into the program, and I hate the term program, I really do, but into the ministry, and you want to get all these kids involved into it, but it's going to take money, it's got to be interesting to them, and you play second fiddle to school, so school and everything that the school does comes first, and you get only what's left over, and you've got to be twice as dynamic, because that is what grabs the kids' attention. And with all that fun, with all that other stuff that grabs their attention, it has to be focused and pointed to Jesus Christ, or it means nothing. All you're doing is you've got another club going on, a teen club. Well, the YMCA does that. So no, seriously, all YMCAs have a teen club. So it's either you're the YMCA or you're just something else, just, a para organization to the school. So if you really are going to do this, the ultimate is to see the kids' lives changed. Their lives are changed because you challenge them about something that they see in the Bible. You challenge them about Jesus Christ. You challenge them to go deeper in their faith. And the first thing that you have to challenge them to do is to accept Jesus Christ into their life. You get nowhere if you don't start there. And then when they accept Jesus Christ into their life, the second challenge with everything that you do surrounds this idea that going to church and serving Jesus Christ is cool. Because everything with their other friends at school and all that says Jesus Christ ain't cool. And your friends will make fun of you if you're a Christian, if you serve Jesus Christ, if you have him in your heart, if you live for him. You're weird, or there's something odd about you. You're not cool. And of course, being in school is about everything about being cool and being accepted and all that kind of stuff. And so you've got to get that across. Everything that you do is getting across to that. So here's roles that the youth pastor finds himself in. First off, you have to make youth ministry dynamic. So that means that when the kids come in, it has energy. It has direction. They can feel like you know where this is going. It's not just ominous fluttering out there. It has a point. And you want to try to get across the Bible, but sometimes the way that other youth people do it, it's not dynamic or it doesn't have their attention. And in today's world, because kids see so much off of their iPhone, their tablet, their computer, things have got to be visual or it's not dynamic. And I see so many churches struggle with going, oh my goodness, how do I make youth dynamic? Well, my kids are used to seeing stuff on their computer, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to get a hold of YouTube and show it up so that everybody can see it. I don't know how to make that a part of my youth work. And it's a struggle if you have a generation that's leading youth. If you have somebody in your church that is of that generation leading youth that is not hip to technology, because the kids are surrounded by technology and they use technology. No, I specifically use that in order to be kind of weird.
Ironic?
Yeah, very ironic, yeah. And because that generation would use the term, hey, man, I'm hip, but that's like 3 generations ago compared to the technology of what you need to be.
Even L7 weenie.
Yeah. But you do, and you got to talk their language in everything that you do. So first thing is it's got to be dynamic. Secondly, so the youth pastor has to be up on that. So that means got to connect on Facebook. You got to connect through texting. There's some things that I don't do that I probably should, but one of them I hate is Instagram. And Instagram is really being used. You want to get something across and connect with your kids, man, take a picture and put it up on Instagram. I pretty much just stick with Facebook and we have Twitter, although we get very little connection on Twitter with anything, but I have those 2 accounts.
I'm a troglodyte, so.
Yeah. John doesn't define troglodyte for our audience.
Someone who is afraid of change and technology, and so they don't embrace it and they actively stay away from it.
There you go. That is John. Yet it's not entirely true because you should see our studio and what he does for our music. He is not a troglodyte, and he does do a lot of investigative study in order to bring our music into the 22nd century.
I have never ever Snapchat in my life.
Yeah, Snapchat, that's another one. And neither have I.
I don't know what Tumblr is. I've seen its name, but I don't actually know what it is.
Yeah, I hear you. So anyway, dynamic ministry, and you have to embrace technology.
I was on Pinterest for the first time the other day because I had to look up something, and I'm like, this will actually help me for a topical search.
Okay.
But it was the first time.
No, Pinterest is very weak to me. I've been on it before, and I have no use for Pinterest.
I've clicked on it before, and because I've never had an account, it's always just been like, you can't actually look at this. And so like I'll click on it, and then the first time I go to click on something, they're like, get an account. And I'm like, I don't want an account with you.
Yeah, there you go. Click. Yeah, we're done with that. Anyway, absolutely.
Sorry. Anyway.
And so back to the dynamic ministry and connecting with the kids, and so you got to get them involved because they have to become invested into this. So you do fundraisers because can't do anything without money, and the amount of money also has an effect on the amount of dynamics that you have involved in this. A lot of youth pastors are going to be bivocational because most churches can't fully afford to have a senior pastor and to pay a youth pastor his worth in what he really needs to be a full-time youth pastor. We're talking about salary, insurance, starting working with his retirement, vacation pay. By the time you put that whole package together, it's looking like another $45,000 package for an individual. Oh, and if he's married, it's bigger than that. And churches struggle with that because a lot of them aren't even paying their senior solo pastor that. So this guy ends up coming out of college. He ends up having debt. Or he's in college accruing debt while he's working as a youth pastor. So you've got all of this kind of stuff going on, and yet he'll need to pick this up for this during youth meeting or doing that. And a lot of times he's giving out of his own pocket in order to see these things done. So we got fundraisers that we're trying to do and to get the kids invested in the fundraisers, and they have to be fun and dynamic. They have to be dynamic. Youth night has to be dynamic once a week, and it has to have a direction, and it has to be aiming towards the kids' hearts and their personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Youth worship, and this is where you and I come in, John. We've gone back into doing the youth work. Well, I may be the pastor part of it and the speaker part, but I heavily rely on you so that when we have our youth night worship, that we come in with 2-3 songs that are fun and yet dynamic, because pulling down into prayer time, into songs that we can try to put into our kids' minds in order to help them connect with God, that's huge. That's huge. And I build off of that when I start speaking to them. So we have that quiet time before them, but dynamic worship becomes huge. And then connecting with them during the week, letting them know that I really care about them. One of the things that I've been doing since school has started this year, this is new for me. I've never done this before, but I've been texting prayers all here in these first couple of weeks of school. And so I've been texting prayers out to the kids and just letting them know, hey, I'm thinking about you. I care about you as your youth pastor. And here's a prayer for you today, for this week, for school, because I want them to know. Here's the main thing that kids need to know. Somebody cares. Somebody cares. And I may be your pastor and you may think I'm an old fogey and whatever, but the one thing I do want you to know is that I care and that Jesus cares. And they'll never know that Jesus cares if they don't know that I care. And so I try to make that connection with them. And yet it's got to be dynamic because I am fighting for their mind. And right now the world fights for our kids' minds, and they do that through the dynamics of what's going on that little screen called an iPhone or a smartphone, on the medium-sized screen, a tablet, or a little bit bigger screen, their computer, or even the bigger screen, that TV that's sitting in their house. And all that stuff is dynamic. It comes at them visually. It comes at them with dynamic sound. And guess what? I'm fighting for their mind, but there's one thing that I think that will win over all the rest of that dynamic stuff, and that is when you love them like Jesus loved them. And so that's what youth ministry kind of looks like. And yet I know that I'm being ominous when I say that. I didn't get down to talking about stuff specifically, but that's how you make that. Those are the nuts and bolts of it. So anyway, I see that it's time for us to take our other break coming up here. And so we're going to take another break, get a refill on your cup. And we've got just a little bit more about youth ministry coming up. And we have some good news. So I want you to take that break, get a refill, and come on back to the B. Andrews Radio Show.
I have this feeling you're calling me to something so much more. Well, every time I get this close, I give up before I go too far. This time I'll let nothing stop me. I'll go until I've got no more. So batten down the hatches, say hello to arms, going so much further than I've ever been before. It won't be easy, I don't know what's in store. Even if I stand alone, I'm taking on the world. When it comes to this, Lord, I'm something of an expert. I've been on my knees 100 times before. But this time things are so much different. The man that I was, I ain't no more. Well, every time I get this close, I give up before I go too far. But this time I'll let nothing stop me. I'll go until I got no more. So batten down the hatches, say hello to arms, going so much further than I've ever been before. Won't be easy, I don't know what's in store. Even if I stand alone, I'm taking on the world. So batten down the hatches, say hello to arms, going so much further than I've ever been before. Won't be easy, don't know what's in store. Even if I stand alone, I'm taking on the world.
Welcome back to the B. Andrews Radio Show, and this portion of our radio show is brought to you by Gaff-Wright Pencil Company. That's right, the Gaff-Wright Pencil Company. When you don't know what to write, we'll help you get the lead out. All right, so...
Laugh.
I liked it. Anyway, yes. I thought it was funny. I liked it. Hey, we also want to mention to you that if you're enjoying...
Super dry, like, what now?
Yes.
Okay.
Help us get this radio show out. Mention it to other people. Share it with them and tell them, man, we're hearing some good stuff on the B. Andrews Radio Show. You got to listen to this. So share it with your friends. Take it. Post it on their page. Be real annoying about it. We strongly encourage that. No, just kidding. So before we wrap it up, we're getting ready to shift over to good news. But before we do, there's just some things about the youth pastor that, some thoughts that I would like to share and to wrap up this way. And that is, I want to talk about their energy. First off, it takes a lot of energy to be a youth pastor. You have to be after it. These guys, the really good ones, are working 60 to 70 hours a week at being a youth pastor. They're around the church. They're in their kids' lives. They're pointing their children to Jesus. They're loving them when things are difficult and hard. They come alongside parents when life is a little tough or fun with kids. In fact, I mean, to kind of give you an idea, tonight I went and saw one of my guys' football games. And I did that because I wanted them to know that their pastor is sitting in the crowd and he is rooting for him in what he does. And so there's times I go and see football games or special events of the kids in my church because I want them to know that I care. And yeah, could I have been spending that time doing something else with somebody else? Absolutely. But as a youth pastor, that's time is how you show that you care, and it requires energy. a little something here, and it's a pet peeve that I have. I'm just going to mention this very quickly, and that's to some of our institutions that cost our youth pastors, guys going into the ministry, a lot of money and run them into debt in order to get an education and move them on to ordination. This is such a huge disservice to the denominations that are out there, because these guys are in debt now from college trying to go into the ministry, and they're most likely not going to find a church that's going to be able to pay them full time. They're going to become bivocational in order to be youth pastor and pastor of a church of where they're at and work this other job. And a lot of their energy is being split and divided, and there's many of them, that are eventually becoming discouraged, and in order to pay their bills so they're not living in poverty and not burning out, they're totally getting out of the ministry. One of the first things that we got to do, and we will see a huge turnaround in the church, is if we get these guys out of debt, if our denominational schools will not continue to run them into debt so that they can come out free to work into churches and to give their energy to the work and the cause of Jesus Christ and to love our kids. And that energy, that flow of energy into our churches will end up translating into people coming back to God's church. I truly believe that with all my heart. And we got to do that. We need these young men, these young ladies that are doing ministry to come in our church unencumbered with debt. And we have got to figure out how to get them out of that so that they can give of themselves at the local church. So that's something to be in prayer for and to think about. And while we're doing that, let me encourage your heart with a little good news. John, do you have a little good news for us tonight?
I feel like that needs an intro song of some kind.
Yeah, we're going to work on that. We'll get a little segment with a little good news in it.
Good news. Oh yeah, totally gonna do that.
We got to write that one.
just because. Okay, so it comes from the Inside Edition. Girl 6 opens lemonade stand to help pay off her classmates' lunch debt.
Wait a minute, Inside Edition, like TV Inside Edition?
Yeah, but this is better. Anyway,
okay, go ahead.
It's actually like nice. Okay, selling lemonade was more than just a summer hobby for this Idaho 6-year-old when she donated all the earnings paying off her classmates' lunch debt. Amia Van Hill, a second grader at Hayden Meadows Elementary School, told InsideEdition.com she was inspired to do something for the kids at her school when she realized some students at different schools are shamed for not being able to pay off their lunch bill. Every kid at school needs lunch, so that's my way of helping, 6-year-old Amia told InsideEdition.com. Earlier in August, Amia and her younger sister, Aria, set up a lemonade stand with a sign that read, "Lemonade for lunch," and was quickly able to raise $40, enough to pay off the lunch debt for every student that qualifies for a reduced-price lunch. Her mom, Rachel Van Hill, 38, said each reduced-price lunch costs about 40 cents. She wanted to donate the money to make sure no child gets left behind with eating, Van Hill explained. Realizing she reached her goal so easily, Amia decided to expand her goal to $23,000 to pay off the lunch debt for the entire school district.
Right there. 6-year-old wants to raise $23,000.
Woo! Yep.
Okay, continue on.
Yeah, yep. Amia continued to hold lemonade stands and made a grand total of 600 by the end of the summer. That's pretty cool. When I don't have customers, I sit and wait, she explained. When there are customers or when 2 more cars come up, I rush back and forth. That's really cute. Wow. Okay. With the help of a GoFundMe page her mom set up, the campaign has reached more than $1,600, and despite slowing down her business ever since school started again for the year, Amia said she is determined to hit her goal. I always wanted to do a lemonade stand, so now is my chance, she said. I guess so. That's a good way of looking at it, though. She's really excited.
So we've got, basically, let me get this straight, a 6-year-old that is concerned because there are kids who have a stigma placed on them because they can't afford their lunch at school. And she doesn't like that, doesn't want them to have the stigma. So she's going to help by raising money and
giving all that money away.
And giving all of that money. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, she didn't talk about taking any of the money for herself, but all the money from the lemonade stand is going to go to help pay for those lunches.
At least all profit,
All right. And
her mom jumped in to help her too. That's pretty cool.
Okay, so yeah, we got up to $600, and Mom says, I like what you're doing. I'm going to help you out. Gives her a little bit of the adult help and ends up getting her a GoFundMe page. And so through that, another $1,000 has come in.
More than that.
Well, you said a total. I thought it said a total of $1,600.
Yeah.
She raised $600.
The campaign, just the GoFundMe campaign, raised $1,600.
Okay, so if it's the GoFundMe campaign at $1,600 and she raised $600, that would be $2,200 that has come in order to pay for that from a 6-year-old. Now, the reason why I keep emphasizing from a 6-year-old is because I just want to challenge our audience out there. There's incredible things that can be done for people and beyond ourselves, that we can reach beyond ourselves and help the others around us. If a 6-year-old can look and say, man, it's breaking my heart or it's affecting her emotionally. Seriously, we can say that I've got friends or people that I know in my school district that are being made fun of. I'm putting it in 6-year-old terms. People are laughing at them, or people talk bad about them because they can't afford to pay their lunch. Well, then I'm going to help them out. Then I'm thinking, what can we do as adults that can do the same thing? Now, not in all cases is paying somebody else's bill the best thing to do. There are people who get themselves into a financial weighty situation. This is of a fault of their own, and they need to feel the weight of that situation. Okay, but we're talking about kids. And the kids and their financial situation comes because they're kids and their financial situation is supposed to be taken care of by their adults. So you have a 6-year-old that is looking into this to say, what can I do to help alleviate peer pressure, school pressure, bad pressure that is placed on other kids? Because that's what ultimately is what she's trying to do, and take that negativity away from them and to pay for that bill and to do that the best that she possibly can. And tell me then, as adults, why we can't be that creative? I don't think there's a reason why we can't. So hats off to, how do you say her name again?
Amia, I think.
Was it Amia? Hats off to Amia. Hats off to her sister who saw what she was doing and wanted to help her. Hats off to Mom for encouraging her daughter to have that kind of a heart. I think that's awesome parenting. And a challenge to our listening audience out there. Try to see where you can make a difference in your community. Look and see where you can make a difference with those who are around you. I would even challenge you, see where there's a youth pastor that might need a volunteer to come alongside him and help. Give of your time. Let people around you know that you may not have a lot in the way of resources, and time may even be a hot commodity in your life. But you know what? Because you want to give, time is the one thing that maybe you can, or you know what? I do know some youth pastors that it would help their budget out a lot if people would just slip them a 10 or a 20 a week and say, hey, can you put this in your youth budget? And that buys a lot of pop, especially the unbrand named, the off-brand, even in the off-brand named, or Twinkies or something like that. And can you use a 20 for this, that, or the other? You know,
soda and pizza.
Soda and pizza. So those are the things to do. Make a difference in the community around you. If a 6-year-old can do it, ladies and gentlemen, you can too. And all of us together making a difference in this world will make a difference. So God bless you. Thank you for listening to our show. And come back next Tuesday when we talk about senior pastors. Yeah, something I know a little bit about. You have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you next Tuesday right here at the B. Andrews Radio Show. Bye, everybody.